This is my first YouTube video, so it's probably going to, feel free to give me any feedback that you have, and I will improve it over time. I wanted to start talking about different management concepts as I've been working in the tech industry in San Francisco, either with in-person teams or remote hybrid teams for around 22 years, and I have been managing teams for over 15 years. And I wanted to start sharing some thoughts that I have on software engineering management. So today I wanted to talk about this concept of quiet quitting. I think it's a new name for an old concept. It isn't something that people actively decide to do. We've given a passive behavior an active name. I think it's really a side effect of being unmotivated or not invested in what you're doing, or you feel like your relationship with your employer is completely one-sided. They don't care about you. It's all about exchanging your efforts for their benefit. So if you're a manager and you sense that people on your team are quietly quitting, showing up, doing the bare minimum, not going the extra mile, it really falls on your shoulders to address it. And I don't think it's something that you can address directly. You can't take someone aside in a one-on-one and ask them to become more engaged or to go above and beyond. You have to figure out what motivates them. If you haven't taken the time to get to know your people, do that. Figure out why they get out of bed in the morning. What do they care about outside of work? Why did they come work at your company in the first place? Were there things that they were hoping to achieve that have not materialized? If you can figure out what that is, you can help them attach what they're doing at work to some intrinsic motivation that they already have. And if you can do that, their day-to-day work can become infused with passion. People will start caring about what they're doing because it's actually more of a symbiotic relationship. The work that they're doing for the company actually fulfills some inner need that they also have. But even if you don't figure out what that is right away with somebody, and sometimes it's not easy, it might involve a series of conversations over weeks or months even. But simply by having that conversation, your direct report's going to understand that you actually care about them, and hopefully you do. If you don't, then maybe you need to step back and look at a higher problem. But by having that conversation, they're going to understand that you care about them. And that in and of itself is going to cause them to care more about what they're doing at work. I think the essence of quiet quitting is that work can often feel one-sided. You're performing things that the business needs, and the business is not really looking out for you. To some degree, companies have to be selfish in order to succeed. In a competitive marketplace, the margins are small, and it's built into the DNA of most businesses that they have to ruthlessly look out for themselves in order to be a success. But that doesn't mean you have to manage your teams that way. I believe the best success is mutually beneficial, and I would even argue that it's crucial for businesses to recognize that by creating a framework in which people can be successful, helping them understand what they need to do to get ahead, helping them understand how their contributions have some kind of impact on customers or whatever it is that they're delivering for, and figuring out how to attach that to something that they care about. By finding out what feeds into that sense that your people are making a meaningful contribution to something they care about, you can help them become successful in their own careers while also delivering value to the company. That's different for everyone. Some people may be in the pursuit of career progression. Some people might want more money. Others might want to make a bigger difference in the world in some way. Or maybe they want to develop a technical skill better. So these conversations kind of have to be had on an individual basis. It's rare that you're going to be able to address that at a team level. And I think that everyone has something that drives them inside, whether they know it or not. Most people don't want to just show up and exchange their time for money, even if they themselves are not aware of that. And you might have to help them figure out what that is, especially for people who are earlier in their career. Maybe they plowed through college and got their first job, and they're a year or two in. They're probably trying to figure out what their first promotion looks like. How do they get a raise? They may not be thinking about that higher level. Why do I get out of bed in the morning? Why did I come here? So one of the biggest things that you can do as a coach and a mentor is help them figure that out sooner. A lot of people might go years before asking those questions, and you can help them by asking those questions for them earlier on than maybe they would have asked themselves. And some people won't be able to answer you. Some people, even maybe people that have been around for a while, might not be able to answer you. They might not know what really motivates them or how they got where they are in their career. Maybe the things that they were chasing early on that led them to be where they are now are not actually fulfilling anymore, and they have reached a point of ennui. They're not sure how to attach what they do on a day-to-day basis to something meaningful, or maybe they have developed some other interest or passion on the side, some other way that they want to be able to contribute to the world that's totally unrelated to work. So if you're lucky, you can figure out a way to help them attach that to their day-to-day work and help them feel like they're having an impact and are being a meaningful contributor to your team. If you can't do that at all, if there's no way to attach somebody's inner drive to something that they're doing at work, maybe they shouldn't be on your team, or maybe they shouldn't be at the company. But that doesn't mean that you can't help them. You can still help them have those realizations. You can be the side of the conversation that listens. And by the way, in all this, in every one of these conversations, you don't have to know what the answer is. When I first got into management, one of the things that intimidated me was in giving people career advice, I thought that I needed to know what the answer was. I needed to be able to help them figure out what their next step was. But that is not it. You really only need to ask the questions and help them interpret their own answers and reframe their own answers, and maybe tie 7 or 8 things that they've said to a common theme that they themselves have not even recognized, and help them synthesize that. And that is one of the real pieces of value that you can add as a manager or a mentor. But if you can't figure out a way to help somebody on your own team and they do need to move on, the good news is that you can open up a spot when they do move on. You can fill that with somebody whose intrinsic motivation can be attached to something that you're doing on the team. So this is not a new concept, but maybe giving quiet quitting a name helps us recognize that there's a failure in leadership, or maybe the company vision is flawed, or there's no way to attach what you're doing on your team to the company vision. Maybe management is not looking out for their people. Maybe career conversations are not happening, or one-on-ones are not happening. And the good news is that if you're experiencing this on your team as a manager, you do have the ability, the power to do something about it. And for me, that is one of my intrinsic motivators. It is the conversations that I have with my direct reports and navigating these thoughts and motivations, and really understanding how to help people find meaning in their work. So if you're experiencing that on your team, the power is in your hands to do something about it. And the alternative there is that maybe you yourself have quietly quit on the inside, and you need to figure out how to attach more meaning to your own work. Are you unmotivated? And is that then trickling down to your team? Because that can happen. Let me know what you think about this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on techniques you use to tap into your own team members' intrinsic motivation and how you use that to build a highly functioning team.